In October 2024, journalist, broadcaster and Cardiff University alumnus Babita Sharma gave a talk titled Navigating Disinformation, Who Should We Trust? Sharma highlighted the dangers of Elon Musk in sowing disinformation and the threat posed by artificial intelligence. Sharma did not mention the threat posed by the post-structural ideas of third-wave feminism and the utter lack of regard for the truth evident in scores of people working for Welsh Government-supported institutions and lobby groups.
Hello, good evening. This is a new lecture. This is just beautiful. Didn't quite look like this when I was here. But it's just so nice to be back. So thank you so much for having me here. It's quite emotional, actually, whenever I come to Cardiff. It's such a great city, but I have so many happy memories and great friends, lifelong friends. And it just feels kind of full circle to be able to come here today and share with you some of my experience, not only as a journalist for over 20 years at the BBC, but also a citizen journalist as well. And in particular, what I've been focusing on in the last year or two or three, disinformation. And misinformation, disinformation, fake news, what is it all about? How do we navigate it and who do we trust? Well, if I knew all the answers to that, I'd be very wealthy. Probably be like Elon Musk, wouldn't I? But I'm going to share with you my observations and what I've learned as a journalist and a global citizen. And actually what I firmly believe to be a course of action, I think, that we can all take to deal with the disinformation cycle that we are in right now, at the moment, this very second. I recently presented a podcast for BBC World Service and BBC Radio 4. It's available now on BBC Sounds. Any more BBC mentions I can put into a sentence, I will. But it's called Whose Truth? And I had the privilege of delving deep into the critical issue of disinformation, speaking with global experts from various fields and Nobel Prize winners. But before I begin, I think it's really important to start with a definition of what is disinformation. And in order to do that, I'm going to use a credible source, Professor Martin Innes. I'm going to take your words, which I know you stand by, to explain what disinformation is. And Professor Innes says, disinformation is information that, when communicated, is designed to deliberately mislead someone about the facts. It matters because it impacts our trust in institutions and in each other. It's changing the social ordering of reality and therefore poses a serious threat to democracy. Martin, I think you're right. It is actually the new leaders of the world that have the power, our power, Elon Musk. So there we are thinking about Trump and Putin and all the rest of it. But are we really thinking about those that own our data, the Elon Musks of the world, who can now wield unprecedented control over our data and information channels? I want to share with you something that Elon Musk tweeted on Sunday evening this week. This is what he wrote. Good rule of thumb. Those who frequently use the word disinformation are the ones most likely to be pushing it. So I've been using the word quite a lot, so I'm pushing disinformation, am I?
Then Judas Iscariot, one of the 12, went to the chief priests to betray Jesus to them. They were delighted to hear this and promised to give him money. So he watched for an opportunity to hand him over.
The Cardiff University transgender policy states,
you have a legal right under the Equality Act 2010 to access facilities such as changing rooms and toilets according to the gender with which you identify.
This is not true. This has never been true. Cardiff University policy has been dictated by Stonewall. In 2021, several academics wrote to the then Vice-Chancellor, Colin Riordan.
Dear Vice-Chancellor, we are writing to suggest that Cardiff University's membership of the Stonewall Diversity Champion Scheme should be reviewed. We support the rights of transgender staff and students, yet being associated with Stonewall lies in tension with two of the university's core values. Number one, academic freedom, And number 2, respect for the rights of all staff and students, including women.
Among the many signatories of the opposition letter was Joe Rossiter from Stonewall Cymru, a member of the Welsh Government's LGBTQ+ expert panel, responsible for the creation of the LGBTQ+ Action Plan. The Action Plan states,
In this respect, it is important to set out that the Welsh Government's position on trans people is clear. Trans women are women, trans men are men, and non-binary identities are valid.
the only way trans women can be women is if we change the definition of what a woman is, which is, of course, the intention of Judith Butler. In 2022, Joe Rossiter was Policy and External Affairs Manager at Sustrans Cymru. At that time, the organisation were pushing for the reduction in the default speed limit throughout Wales. Rossiter joined the Institute of Welsh Affairs, an allegedly independent think tank, partly funded by the Welsh Government. On the 5th of September 2022, an article was published on the Institute of Welsh Affairs website, How Disinformation Arrived in Wales and Where It's Going Next. Online disinformation has proliferated beyond our screens via a complex web of superspreaders, say Adam Belcher and Stefan Rollnick. The article states,
PCP, in particular its Welsh branch PCP Wales, has a growing online presence, frequently using crowdfunding sites to fund their protests and raise awareness, and is deeply connected to the far right. The group utilizes this to draw attention to their real-world organizing and gain the support of other far-right online groups who share messages and advertise protests. There has been an increase in real-world action by PCP Wales, with the group being involved in anti-trans protests at drag queen story hours, protesting sex education in schools, and coordinating events with lotuseaters.com, a far-right media portal. PCP, by incorporating narratives of children's vulnerability to sexual violence into their rhetoric, are borrowing from the very dangerous QAnon playbook.
At that time, PCP Wales were taking the Welsh Government to court over aspects of the Welsh Government RSC education. Rollnick's article evidently made an impact. In a post written in March 2023, Jeremy Miles, then Education Minister, wrote,
We have brought in these changes despite an organised misinformation campaign involving hard right elements, and I promise you, I will stand up to them. I will never be deflected from our efforts to protect young people and help them to be safe and healthy.
Rollnick's father is a professor at Cardiff University. Adam Belcher and Stefan Rollnick worked for public relations company Lynn Global. On September the 1st, 2021, Lynn announced that it was launching the UK's first misinformation service. It stated,
Lynn, with the launch of its misinformation cell, becomes the United Kingdom's first PR company to provide a tailored service to help clients with the growing threat of misinformation. CEO and founder Shayoni Lynn says that the new cell will combine behavioral science tactics and insights with the latest in counter-misinformation research to offer support for communication teams battling against misinformation online. Misinformation strategist Stefan Rollnick will be leaving the office of the First Minister in Cardiff, Wales, to join Lynn and lead the misinformation cell.
Shayoni Lynn is a graduate of Cardiff University. Blog poster Jac O'The North reported that Lynn Global won the contract to deliver an integrated marketing campaign to support behaviour change around the reduction of speeds from 30 miles per hour to 20 miles per hour in residential areas across Wales. The contract was won in August 2022. Less than 1 month later, Belcher and Rollnick's article was published on the Institute of Welsh Affairs website. Labour Senedd member Lee Waters is a former director of Sustrans Cymru. He pushed for the reduction of the default speed limit. When the change was implemented, he was very happy. So was Shayoni Lynn.
Very proud to support Anwen and Welsh Government to deliver this world-leading, life-saving and community-approving policy, one of the most complex behaviour change campaigns in the history of the Senedd.
Other people were not so happy. A petition to rescind the default 20 mile per hour speed limit received almost 500,000 signatures. The Institute of Welsh Affairs refused her request for a right of reply in response to Rollnick's article. Shayoni Lynn from Lynn Global is a trustee of the Institute of Welsh Affairs. In April 2025, Rossiter was one of 3 expert witnesses who appeared before the Welsh Government Equality and Social Justice Committee to discuss social cohesion and democracy.
No problem. Yes, no problem. Thank you for the invitation to join you here. I think that there is a relationship between democratic health and social cohesion. One of the things that we see very clearly from the evidence, for example, is that there is a lack or deficit in terms of trust in politics, in politicians, in institutions, political institutions, and that is one sign of a democracy that is not very healthy.
Joe Rossiter agreed.
Thank you very much, and may I ask the other witnesses if there's anything in additional that Joe Rossiter or Professor Ryan would like to say. Do you have anything more to say?
What Anwen was saying, really, and I think it's quite interesting when we look at the metrics by which we measure social cohesion and democratic engagement are kind of inextricably interlinked, whether that means the key one for me of the national indicators from the Wellbeing of Future Generations Act, for example, is the ability to have agency and feel like you can influence local decisions, which feels like a key underpinning of the social contract, if you will. So, yeah, I would just echo what Anwen was saying. They're inextricably interlinked, but so are other elements of social cohesion, like ability to access foundational services like health and social care and transport. So, yeah.
I wouldn't contradict anything that's been said before. When I think about it and I look at it, what is democracy? It's our way of dealing with disputes peacefully.
The Welsh Government's commitment to democracy and social cohesion is to demonise anyone who raises concerns about relationships and sexuality education in schools.
And the other thing about democracy is it's kind of an orientation that everyone has something to contribute to society. So if you live in a democracy, that's how it goes. If you live somewhere else, that's not how it goes. So I think if you think about social cohesion and democracy, they are interlinked. And I was going to mention the well-being indicator as well. The ability to influence is probably one of the worst performing indicators that you have. I think about 30% of people say that they feel ability to influence decisions affecting them. So democracy is all about giving people influence over decisions that affect them. So I think that's where I would see the connection between social cohesion and democracy.